America, we got to get back to doing what's expected of us as free citizens in this democracy. That means being tolerant, being respectful, staying informed, and being engaged. I'm former Congressman Joe Walsh. Follow me here and join the millions of Americans who are renewing their social contract with each other. The social contract, it's on us.
Welcome and welcome to Raw and Unfiltered. It is what Joe Walsh Wednesday, my friends. Yes, the crowd is going wild. They love Joe Walsh. That's right. Joe just walking into the house. Thank you, Joe.
I love it, Michael. Listen to that audience.
Quiet yourself. We have a show to start. All righty.
And can I just say at the outset, Michael, I think you're the only Substack personality that literally does your Substack in front of a couple hundred people there at your house.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
unbelievable.
They're all piled into my office over here. Yeah. But I tell them, guys, most importantly, I need you all just to simply be quiet. No more. I just said, stop.
Oh, my God.
Lord, stop. We have a show that we need. Okay, stop.
By the way, serious point, everybody joining us, hit those red hearts, as Michael Cohen always says. You talk about commitment. Cohen does this Substack, and he invites 200 people into his home. That's fucking commitment. Michael, you're amazing.
That sure is. Well, I appreciate that. Joe Walsh, you're amazing. We got a million things to talk about here. So, obviously, the big news is that the bill for the release of the Epstein files is on its way to President Trump's desk. Now, as you all know right now, the president is speaking before the U.S.-Saudi Arabia Investment Forum, where, of course, he's talking about important things like COVID, the 2020 election being stolen. He's talking about Abraham Lincoln running as vice president to George Washington, that he would, of course, still win by 25 points. Interesting, because he didn't beat Kamala Harris by 25 points, but he certainly would beat God, and he would beat God and Jesus by 50 points for sure.
Michael Cohen, stop there. And I know you have so much to talk about, and I know I love you. You're my brother, and you and I react to things differently. Donald Trump said today that if Abraham Lincoln and George Washington came back from the dead and they ran for president as a ticket, the pollsters are saying they told Trump he'd beat him by 25 points. Now, I know people will laugh at that. I can't laugh. He's like fucked up in the head, Michael. Who says shit like that? He's messed up.
All right, so to my audience here, is that fucked up? Give me the applause on that one. Yeah. So look, let me go one step further, because I turn on the television and there I am, sitting at that House Oversight Committee hearing back in 2019, approximately 2 weeks or so before I was to self-surrender to FCI, Federal Correctional Institute, Otisville.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, as a result of the dump of the emails by the Epstein estate, we learned something very, very interesting. And that's Representative Stacey Plaskett, during her questioning of me, was live texting with Jeffrey Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very upset about the whole thing, not because of the questions. The questions are irrelevant. It's the fact that my life was turned upside down. I see the pain that I'm in. It's a real trigger for me as I watch myself on television. And I remember how I felt. I remember how hard it was to breathe. I remember, like the night before, wishing that I would just stop breathing because of the the stress that testifying live, right, knowing that it was going to be bigger than the fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And here, a representative, a woman, is texting with the single worst human being in maybe the last 100 years, right? The worst child sex trafficker, rapist, predator in American history. I wrote my Substack this morning called The Cost of Looking Away, because I am a true believer that our leadership, whether it's Chuck Schumer in the Senate or Hakeem Jeffries in the House, are obligated to us, to the American people, to confront her and to do the right. The same way that Joe, you and I, and every single one of those people that are there smashing the hearts, thank you for that. And hit that share button. And again, go to the Chiron. If you're a Michael supporter, please make sure you subscribe, cross-pollinate with Joe. If you're a Joe Walsh subscriber, please hit Michael Cohen too. But here's the thing. As we sit and we talk about how anybody who's mentioned in that file needs to be held accountable.
Yeah.
That the victims deserve the justice that they are entitled to. They deserve to see accountability. Why is she not included? Why is Hakeem Jeffrey looking into the camera and saying, this is just a Republican attempt to distract us from our successful ability to reopen the government and to get this bill passed and to get it now to the president's desk so that all the files could be released? He doesn't want to fuck with her because he is only interested in one motherfucking thing, and that's becoming the Speaker of the House, if in fact that we're able to take back the House in 2026. But every single thing that we have seen happen over and over and over again, for example, the Russia hoax, how did that play for the Democrats? Not well, right? Because Trump has the ability to declare himself a victim, and he uses specifics in order to demonstrate if any of the things that he's claiming, like he did not engage in any sexual activity with any underage kid. Okay. Now he will have the ability to call himself the victim. Mm-hmm. And everybody's jumping to conclusions. Everybody turn around saying that he never threw Jeffrey Epstein out. Yes, he did. He tossed him out on his ass. And if that comes out, once again, that will be negative to us. And he will use it like a nuclear bomb in order to make himself the victim of this story.
Michael, I'll give you 2 words, and I'm stealing 2 words from one of our listeners right now. Anybody and everybody. That's 3 words. Anybody and everybody. Open up the fucking files and any name in there, Republican, Democrat, Independent, Giraffe, Lion, Tiger, doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter what fucking political team you're on. Anybody who had any relationship with, as you said, a monster, that monster, I want that name out there. I don't give a damn what party you are. Hakeem Jeffries should stand in front of the American people and say, every Democrat, every Republican that's in those files, we will expose. That shouldn't be that hard.
Right, because the hypocrisy is the thing that puts us behind the 8 ball. I turn around and I write in my Substack of today, and I hope every single person read it, all right, because it's extremely important. And not only am I asking you, please, to read it, I'm asking you to please restack it and share it with friends.
Bingo.
Because here's what I say. The actions of what happened yesterday, it's monumental. The passage, the way that Mike Johnson got played by Chuck Schumer, who, as you know, I'm also not a fan of. But that alone should be a moment when we step back and we recognize the sheer courage of the survivors. The survivors who refuse to disappear, who refuse to be intimidated, and refuse to let powerful men bury the truth, right? It is their voices, along with some of us, it is their voices that push this bill through. because their refusal to be silenced has brought us to the cusp of long overdue accountability. But, as always, politics has a way of staining even the righteous moments. And right now, that stain, it's not coming from the GOP. It's coming from within our own party. And I'm talking about, again, as I write, Hakeem Jeffries and his refusal to acknowledge the obvious. The censure of Representative Stacey Plaskett for her texting with Epstein during my live congressional oversight hearing. I feel like Michael Corleone in Godfather 3, the single worst movie, right, ever, maybe, uh, literally, just when you get out, they pull you back in. You think I wanted to be affiliated with the Epstein file at all? I didn't ask to be involved. I wasn't involved in any of this. Why is she taking text messages from a twice convicted sexual predator child rapist? Why is she taking questions from him? And they try to use this bullshit that he's a constituent of hers. Remember, Little St. James, the island where this shit was taking place, it's in her purview, right? So are you also going to tell, if I was Hakeem Jeffries, I'd man the fuck up and I would say to her, did he give you money? Did you return that money? Well, here's the answer, because Joy Reid actually reached out to her and she said that she donated that money to a women's crisis centers. Really? When?
Really? When?
Right? When? Show us the check, right?
Yeah.
And why didn't you just return it to the guy? Why are you donating his money? That's not your right. You get somebody like Jeffrey fucking Epstein sends you money, send that shit back. But no. Did you know that any of this shit was going on the island? Hard to imagine that little small island, right? And that dozens and dozens of young girls are there, and all these famous guys are coming, or these well-known men are coming to this little island, and you're going to tell me you didn't think something was fucking wrong? Really? You think that any of that's possibly true?
Michael, I'll disagree with you on one thing. This shouldn't be partisan at all. Epstein was a monster. Every politician and businessman that dealt with him or had a relationship with him needs to be exposed. I'll disagree with you on one thing. The Democrats, sadly, too many are being partisan with this. I also think the Republicans are too. I mean, damn near all of them, Michael, yesterday said, oh, Donald Trump, he's been saying we should release the files from the beginning. We're only doing what Donald wanted. And Nancy May said, Donald Trump is doing this for the women. The Republicans are bullshit on this too. But Michael, you're right. We need to call out the Democrats. Hakeem Jeffries, my God, this is not a partisan issue. Call out everybody.
Agree. I turn around and I write, I just want one more paragraph here. That incident didn't just happen in a vacuum, right? It's burned into the public memory because what Plaskett did symbolized exactly why people believe politicians are full of shit.
Yeah.
Right? When Democrats talk about transparency, accountability, and justice, and yet we can't bring ourselves to say, yes, one of our own owes the public an explanation. That shit reeks of hypocrisy. I mean, seriously, why is it so hard for Hakeem Jeffries simply to look into the camera? This is what I would do, and state the plain moral truth. As the leader of this House Democratic Caucus, I expect Representative Plaskett to explain her conduct. Period. Drop the fucking mic. Plain and simple.
And Michael, it's such a great point, and I encourage everybody to read Michael's Substack today. Look, Donald Trump is a uniquely, utterly horrible human being. The Democrats need to show they're different and they're better. So here we have this Epstein issue, man. Be above partisan politics. Trump won't. And most Republicans won't. Democrats, be better than that. Say, I want to expose everyone, Republicans and Democrats. Say what Trump can't and won't say. Be better than that, Democrats.
Right? I mean, otherwise, what ends up happening is we fall into the same category as the Republicans who we denounce on a daily basis. Hey, moving on here for a second, because unfortunately, our time goes by way too quickly, and we could spend an hour literally talking about simply just Jeffrey Epstein. There's a couple of, there's a couple of really great articles. CNN did an entire breakdown, an analysis of 2,200 messages, found hundreds of exchanges between Jeffrey Epstein and prominent figures in academia, in government, in media, and in business. That's really fucking crazy. But I do want to ask you, all right, as you know, you have Lindsey Halligan, who was appointed by Trump for in Virginia, right, to bring, and she did bring the two indictments, one against James Comey, the other against Tish James. Now, one of the things that I turned around and said to a buddy of mine is, when the system gets you, no matter how hard you fight, you can't fight this DOJ. You cannot fight the DOJ. They'll outspend you. They have no pressure on them as you do. They turn your life upside down. They threaten you. They threaten your family. So Lindsey Halligan, it was found out at a court hearing that maybe she didn't do things correctly as it relates to the indictment itself, as well as to the way that she handled the grand jury. In fact, the way that she did it, many people are claiming right now that it could cost her her law license. And that wouldn't be the first attorney in Trump's orbit to lose their law license. Hello. There's also the girl that lied on the document to the FBI regarding the documents at Mar-a-Lago. Tell me your thoughts on Lindsey Halligan.
Well, Michael, and you got to correct my memory. You and I thought, had a bet a few weeks back. When Comey first got indicted, I said that case is going to be dismissed. He's going to get off the case. I think we bet dinner in New York City.
I think we bet $1, but okay.
Whatever. Either way, we're having dinner. I didn't. It's not a strong case. Lindsey Halligan is utterly unqualified, and it sounds like, Michael, you're more expert than this than I am. So I want you to explain it to me and our listeners. But it sounds like she really fucked up here big time. She didn't reveal the entire indictment or the indictment to the entire grand jury. That seems big.
Yeah, it is. The admission was that Lindsey Halligan, who again was running the Eastern District of Virginia, she secured the indictment against Comey simply by herself. And what the grand jurors did and did not see. All right. Basically, she gave them one set of instructions. There was an error in it because the foreperson turned around and said that we're not sure that we can go with, say, count one of it. And so she then took the charging document and she presented it to the judge with that charging allocution in it, as if it was agreed to by the jury, and that's a real problem.
So is she really fucked up? Now, Michael, to me, and Comey, there is the potential here, isn't just on this mistake alone. that the indictment against Comey could be dismissed just on this boo-boo alone, correct?
Because the way that Comey's counsel explained it is that based upon even her own admissions,
Yeah.
that there is technically no indictment, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
therefore, there is no case,
got it.
and it
Got it.
needs to be thrown out. Now, she, of course, goes on and she argues, and this is crazy. She argued that prosecutors have 6 months within which to cure an indictment that's dismissed over legal issues. So imagine that's according to the Justice Department manual. All right. She claims that that exists even if the statute of limitations expires during the time period. Again, this now opens up Comey and his counsel
Yeah.
for motion papers within which to dismiss the case and to get a ruling by the
Yeah.
court. I mean, there's so much this grand jury document flub.
Yeah.
This is a real serious problem.
And by the way, everybody, Michael Cohen is an expert at this shit. And look at how methodically he had to just go through the last few minutes to explain to us what this is. I'm not an expert. To me, this handpicked person by Trump literally was in over her head and she fucked up. That's about as deep as I can take it. I want to thank Michael because you can explain to us technically what this is. And I'm reading by what you said. It's a big deal. It could be.
So it is a big deal, and it's difficult even for somebody like myself to explain it. And the reason it's difficult to explain is because this shit just doesn't happen, right? I mean, I don't know, and I've been practicing since 1992. I don't know if I've ever heard of a case where something like this happens, where the prosecutor, remember, these indictments, these grand jury hearings they're one way. It's the prosecutor with the 12 jurors as well as the two standbys are sitting there and listening to me tell the story about why Joe Walsh should be indicted because his hair is not slicked back. Right?
Yeah.
And you say to yourself, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Sure. But if I can show to you that there is a statute that says X, Y, and Z, and I don't want you to think at all whether or not that's for a criminal jury to decide. But pursuant to statute 12345, it specifically states the following, that if you go on Michael Cohen's Substack, Raw and Unfiltered, Walsh Wednesday, without your hair slicked back, it is a crime pursuant to ABCD. All right? That's all that you need to be deciding whether or not Joe Walsh's hair was or was not slicked back. That's how stupid this process is. I fucking hate the grand jury process. The fact that you could go in and you could fuck up somebody's life like this without having representation in order to counter, they're like, no, well, that's not what the system is about. Well, it's a fucked up system. Well, I've never seen one where a prosecutor actually ignores the ruling of the grand jury and provides something different to a judge. So it's extremely difficult.
So, Michael, go ahead.
No, and I was going to say, and I'm not certain what manual she's referring to that would trump, for lack of a better term, the statute of limitations clause.
Well, she's clearly in over her head, and she was from the beginning. And Michael, I agree with you about the grand jury process completely. But for me and our listeners then, so Comey in his lawyers are going to move to try to dismiss. Play this out for me. If they're able to get this case dismissed, will she and the Justice Department be able to re-indict Comey
again, according to what prosecutors have said, according to the Department of Justice manual, if there is a dismissal based upon a legal issue, and there clearly are multiple here, that you have 6 months within which to re-indict.
Okay.
Even if the statute of limitations expires.
And Trump will demand it. Michael Trump will demand they re-indict.
Yeah, and I think that he's probably going to have to find somebody other than Lindsay Halligan within which to do this, because don't be shocked if right now counsel for Tish James, counsel for Comey, in fact, counsel for anyone who was charged or indicted by this second department in Virginia, right? With Lindsay Halligan's name on it, the first thing that I would do is I would be filing a bar complaint as against her to have her license, revoked, her law license revoked. That's what I'm certain that they're doing. Hey, can I move on for a quick second here?
Yeah.
I wanted to get your take on the entire Mohammed bin Salman visit to the Oval Office, to the White House.
You and I may have a different take. I'll give you mine, then give me yours. To me, it's a disgrace. It's Trump once again. It's just another Trump shit stain on the presidency. This Saudi crown prince is a butcher, a killer, a dictator. And Donald Trump invites him into the Oval Office, Michael, and like Trump does with all dictators, Donald Trump just fucking loves the guy, praises the guy, kisses his ring, because Trump loves dictators. But then Trump, Michael, in front of the world says, this guy, he had nothing to do with Khashoggi's murder. Nothing to do with it. Utterly untrue. So the American president in the Oval Office tells the world that this Saudi crown prince had nothing to do with Khashoggi's death. MBS, the crown prince, Michael, ordered the fucking killing.
Were you a member of the House at the time?
No, I just been gone, just left. Ordered the killing. And so then, and the American president, sides with him. Michael, it reminded me of Trump having Zelensky in the Oval Office and Trump just fucking him and J.D. Vance beat up on Zelensky. Trump told the world then, I stand with Putin. To me, here's Trump telling the world, I stand with this guy who ordered the killing, no matter what you think of Khashoggi, of an American journalist. I thought it was disgusting.
It reminds me, Joe, so much of Helsinki, when Trump turned around and he said that Putin very strongly denied that he had any involvement, despite our intelligence community, our entire intelligence community stating otherwise. For me, I don't think you and I are in any disagreement at all. In fact,
Michael, that's a genius analogy. Trump stood in front of the world in Helsinki and said, I stand with Putin, not my own intelligence people. Yesterday, Trump did the same with the Saudi crown prince. That's brilliant.
And I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, first of all, for me, it's a little bit more personal. Jamal Khashoggi is the cousin of one of my oldest friends.
I think I know that.
And
I knew that.
And she's, of course, devastated by it, and devastated at the fact that her president, our president, is inviting this man into the White House, to the Oval Office, and hosting a state dinner for him. Now, I understand people when they say, we still need Saudi for the Abraham Accords, which is what I think this is extremely important to Trump and his legacy. However, there is an American citizen,
Yeah.
journalist, who was murdered and chopped up into pieces and discarded in garbage cans. All right, like yesterday's garbage. And this is the treatment. I'll go one step further. 9/11 family members were furious as it related to the Crown Prince's visit. Furious.
Michael, Trump told the world yesterday, again, Trump lies every time he opens his mouth. He told the world that the Crown Prince had nothing to do with the murder. Just an utter lie, but it's a lie where, again, he puts himself and America with the bad person here. Oh,
Yeah, I don't get it, right?
well, I do. I mean,
Do you?
yeah, Trump doesn't give a fuck about Khashoggi. Trump loves the Saudi dictators. Trump is on the side of these strong men around the world. Trump is on Putin's side. I think it's all pretty basic. But
I want to
I don't know.
throw another part here, and I really want your Joe Walsh sort of take on this one. So you got the Crown Prince sitting in the Oval Office. You've got J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, whoever else the fuck is sitting on the couch. And standing behind the couch, you have Howard Lutnick. Now, Howard Lutnick, at the time of 9/11, was the CEO and president of Cantor Fitzgerald.
That's right.
They lost 960 employees.
That's right, Michael.
Okay?
Preach.
I'm sorry. They lost.
Was it over 1,000? I thought.
I think it was not. I think it was. No, they lost 658 out of their 960 employees in the World Trade Center. 658 people, many of whom he knew from elementary school, from middle school, junior high, high school, college. Many whose children were working there as well. Friends and their children. I remember the day after he was sitting with me, Howard, and he said, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to 2-3 funerals a day where it's father and daughter, father and son, right? Mother and husband. He goes, it's beyond. And he's standing there watching as the president, a guy who, as we all know, Howard's nose couldn't be shoved any further up Trump's ass. All right. Sitting there as this guy is being lauded and drooled over.
Yeah.
Not to mention, not only did Howard lose 658 employees, one of those employees was his brother.
Michael,
Joe.
Go ahead.
Give me a Joe Walsh reaction to this one.
By the way, I'm so glad you brought that all up. I'd forgotten about that, Michael. This is, again, everybody, why I fucking love to listen to Michael Cohen. Thank you for bringing all that up. Michael, all I got to say is this. One of our listeners just in the comments just said, America is supposed to be the good guy. This is one of my biggest beefs with Trump, with him in the White House. And we're not on the side of the good. We're not the good guy. We're not on the side of the free world in Ukraine's fight for freedom and sovereignty. As long as this guy is in the White House, he's always with the bad guys and with the dictators and with the murderers and the butchers. We are not the good guy. We're not with the good guy. We're not with the free world as long as this fucker is in the White House. And that just profoundly makes me so sad. Like you, I do a lot of media, BBC and stuff from around the world. And I tell them, Michael, hey, Europe, our friends, hang on for the next 3.5 years. Ignore us. I know they can't ignore us, but you're on your own. America is not on the side of the good as long as Donald Trump is president. And it pains me as an American to say that, Michael.
Well, should pain everybody, to hear you say that, because it's not a joke. We're supposed to be the beacon on the hill of democracy, right? And then he's talking about, how Saudi Arabia is turning a new leaf on human rights and civil rights. Yeah, unless you're there, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
this whole thing is crazy. Then, of course, I mean, look at the names of some of the people who were involved. Not only, right, did you have academia, you had Larry Summers, who was not just in the administration, Trump's first, but on top of that, he was president of Harvard. He was now on the board of OpenAI, who just resigned. I'm dying to see what the fuck that's all about. You have how many other people? You have Stacey Plaskett, right? She has a relationship with him. And I'm not saying that she was sexually inappropriate with a young kid, with a young girl. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying she actually has a relationship, to the point that not only does he have her cell number, but he's texting her and she's responding. And again, it goes right back to fucking Hakeem Jeffries. It goes back. That's not leadership. That's cowardice. And he has to answer. You want to be a leader, be a fucking leader.
Right, Michael. Don't be a partisan Democrat. Be a leader. Be a leader. That's a great point, Michael. Again, this is such an important takeaway from our conversation. I want anybody and everybody that had anything to do with Epstein exposed. And I don't believe, I want to know your take. I think, look, Pam Bondi, she's not attorney general. She's Trump's lawyer. They launched this new investigation last week. They only did it to protect Trump and to keep the files hidden, because Pam Bondi said today, Michael, I don't know what we're going to do with the files because now there's a new ongoing investigation. Fuck it. This is going to go on for the next 3 fucking years.
Yeah, I'm not really so sure about that, because there are legal maneuvers that, listen, this is not one that this administration, Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, etc., are going to be able to corral. All right.
Wow.
Now, I've said it many times and I'm going to say it again. I spent a decade and a half by Trump's side. I don't believe that Trump's involvement in this file is sexual. I believe it's financial.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I believe. I believe that there's something there that's financial, but I do not believe that it's sexual. I do believe, however, that he kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. And why do I say that? I'm going to break a little news for you here. During my tenure with Trump, on a handful of occasions, Trump would call me into his office. He'd throw a file across the desk at me. I don't know why he couldn't hand it to me, but he used to fling it across the desk. And he'd be like, I don't want this guy in the club anymore. One guy was at Mar-a-Lago. Another one was over at Trump National in Briarcliff. And I had the wonderful job of contacting them and telling them, you're out.
Yeah.
You're out. One of whom, his daughter-in-law, is actually a friend of mine and a very, very well-known New York City socialite. Very, very prominent New York City socialite and a friend of mine. And I had to call up her father-in-law. So when I saw her, she's like, wow, did you throw my father-in-law out of Mar-a-Lago?
Wow.
I was like, well, I don't own Mar-a-Lago. I was
Yeah,
just doing what I was told to do. You think there's any way that we could ever get him back? And I said, you know what? Let me never say never, but
yeah,
let me say when Trump sours on somebody, that's just how it goes.
yeah,
So when he tells people that he threw him out for various different reasons, Trump now is saying because he was a creep and he was you know, scummy around his employees, the young female employees. I will acknowledge that that's probably true, but the reason I bring that up before we end up calling this
yeah,
for a day is because, like I even say in my Substack, right, the cost of looking away. My friends, we have about 1,400 people with us right now. Not enough. Please keep hitting the hearts and share with people. But here's the problem, right? As as this thing goes on and Trump keeps calling things a hoax, like
yeah,
a witch hunt, the hoax, right? He's going to stay just like the same way he called the Russia investigation and the Steele dossier a hoax. By the way, it was a hoax. All right. It was the hoax. You and I may not agree totally on this, but it was a hoax. He never asked Russia to interfere. They did that on their own. Did he benefit? Absolutely, he benefited, but he never coordinated with Russia. I certainly had nothing to do with it, like the Steele dossier, none of it. Then he goes on and he talks about the Mueller probe as a witch hunt. He talks about the Ukraine impeachment, the Ukraine hoax. He talks about the inquiries into his finance. He calls that a political hack. And then you have the FBI, the classified documents case called the Boxes hoax. It's
yeah,
always a hoax. It's a witch hunt. It's a political attack and so on. The worst part, the worst part here, Joe, millions of Americans
yeah.
believe him.
Bingo.
And if that happens, we Democrats, we don't have to just rethink our strategy. We actually have to confront the possibility that if these things are true, right, or that what Trump is saying, that he had nothing to do, that there was no sexual activity or anything like that as part of the Epstein, and it turns out to be some innocuous, stupid thing. One, I won't understand why he didn't just release the files then
Right.
instead of this whole rigmarole. But if in fact he does, we've just handed Trump another grievance, another narrative, another megaphone, another nuclear bomb to go and to mobilize his disaffected, and energized his base, right? And that's exactly what ended up happening in 2024. He victimized himself to the point that people said, yeah, this is stupid. I can't vote with these people, meaning the Democrats.
Michael, you make some great points. I'll close with this. The difference here is, and Trump's approval rating this morning was the lowest it's ever been. Donald Trump has single-handedly fucked up the economy. Donald Trump, every day, Americans who don't pay attention to politics are seeing videos of mass federal agents disappearing brown and black people off of
Yep.
our streets.
Yep.
So there's a lot out there that Trump is doing that is bad. And I don't think this Epstein files thing is going to be the electoral issue next year. I don't know how he's going to handle it, and he's going to continue to try to lie about it. Michael, but I always fall back on this. Donald Trump has done everything he can do to keep these files hidden. To me, there's something in there, my friend, that he's afraid of.
Oh, 100%. There's something that he does not want released. I grant you
Yes.
that. Could it be financial? Could it be embarrassing? Could it be that he was the guy who, I don't know, it could be sexual. I'm not
Who
saying,
knows?
again,
Right.
here's the problem. And I want everybody to please join me in this belief that we can all have our opinions. We
Yep.
can all hypothesize and opinionize what it is that Trump is hiding. We can all do that. We have the right to do that, but that doesn't make it fact. It's
Right.
still just our opinion. If you are a Trump supporter, he did absolutely nothing. If you are a Trump detractor, oh, he was part of the Epstein sex clan, right? When those files, and I say when, not if anymore, when those files are released, and they will be released, when they are, we will know the answer. And then we can all not be working off of innuendo and
Yeah.
hypotheticals. We're
Yeah.
working off of facts because facts matter. And you know what? Facts matter to that's right, to the memory of Virginia
Yeah.
Frey. It
Yeah.
matters to the survivors, the ones who not only should see accountability against their victimizers, but demand it.
Perfect thing to say, Michael Cohen. The last thing I'm going to say is everybody listening, love you all. Please make sure you subscribe to both of us, Michael Cohen and Joe Walsh. And by golly, if you're able, man, keep Michael's voice out there. Keep my voice out there. Become a paid subscriber. We love you all. God, there they are. Michael, do you feed them before they leave, or do you just let them leave?
No, I just what you call it? We took that away off of the that was gutted by Doge.
Boom! Yeah, that was gutted by Doge. Thank you, Michael Cohen, my brother.
Thank you, Joe. All righty, everybody. Joe Wall, the great Joe Wall. Thanks you all very, very much. And again, as Joe just said, if you can, please share this with friends. If you can become a paid subscriber, great. If you want the book Revenge, DM me. I tell everybody each and every time, if you want to get the book, I'll tell you exactly how to get it. We have about, I don't know, maybe 250 of these left. So if you want yours, DM me. You go into my profile, you hit that little triangle that looks like a paper airplane. DM me and I'll tell you how you could buy yours. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening, and I will see each and every one of you again tomorrow. And let's put pressure on our Congress members, our senators. Let's put a lot of pressure on DC. They worked for us.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, share, and follow The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere great podcasts are found. And be sure to leave a 5-star review. This has been The Social Contract with Joe Walsh.